we found out it's all about the way kids learn, that they learn different ways. And we're forcing them to learn one specific way. Whereas what VR does is give them a chance to get hands-on and go to a place and awaken spatial memory. And that way, they'll not only learn, but they'll retain what they learn. Because what VR does is put you in a place. It puts a place inside of you by putting you in a place. It's like the difference between looking at a television program of Disneyland versus going to Disneyland. If you go to Disneyland, you never forget it. I guess you'd say my life has sort of been sort of like a play with four acts. You know, there was the act one, which was growing up in this amazing place in Western North Carolina, bordering on the Pisgah National Forest. And I love the outdoors. I lived in a village with lots of kids. My father worked at a plant, a rayon nylon plant close by, and it was an idyllic childhood. It was perfect. We played in the woods. We had snowball fights, acorn fights, and I went to great schools, had great friends. So I was blessed in that way. And but I was sort of a nerdy kid too. Even though I liked to play sports, I was sort of a nerd. I loved, for some reason, I got interested in electronics and science and things like that. And I remember that I was 7 years old. I would get the opportunity to go over to my grandfather's house and actually spend a couple of weeks just with my grandfather. And I was really interested in robots. I'd read science fiction stuff and things like that. I was interested in robots. And so what I would do is take these cardboard boxes in my Rector set, and I would make my own control panels that out of cardboard and move the switches around. And then I said, this is how I want to control my robot. And then I built a box that was the robot. And then I said, well, wait a minute. If I'm remotely controlling the robot, how can I be where the robot is? And I said, well, what I'll do is pretend that the robot has a head, has eyes and ears. And I built a box with toilet paper rolls with the eyes and the ears for this robot. And then inside the house where my control panel was, I built a box and put it on my head. And the box on my head had the relay of the picture that the robot was seeing into my eyes and what the robot was hearing. This is 7 years old now. I'd forgotten about that I had been doing that until one day when I was sitting in my virtual cockpit, realizing, oh my goodness, this is deja vu all over again. Now, here I am, having gone through these two acts into the third act. The first act being growing up and going to university. Second act, the U.S. Air Force, which was fantastic. And then the University of Washington. And I just went emeritus at the University of Washington in September. Now I'm an emeritus professor, but I don't teach. I'm not in the classroom like I used to be. So now I'm in transition to the fourth act at 79 years old. And I am so excited. That's now one of the areas where I'm concentrating in this third phase, because this is transformative. We're working on a global movement that actually lifts humanity through the virtual world society. Some of these are high school dropouts. Some of them are university faculty. Others are students. And it's so fun because we're inventing and discovering so many far out cool things. And then the third part of my fourth phase, my fourth act, about the story of my journey and the amazing people that that I encountered along the way, and the projects that we did and what we learned. I've spent more time in VR than anybody on the planet, and I've learned a lot. And I want to tell the story of what I've learned and how I learned it, and what does it mean, and where do we go from here.